Now, what we discussed last class was you are given this R. Just pay attention here. I am referring to figure 4.5. Given R, the vector R is coordinatized in. You understand vector coordinatized in? Sorry. Vector coordinatized in. You understand that sentence? So, coordinatized. Coordinatized.
Ties?
Yeah. So vector. If you have, so let's say we have this vector, right? What are the coordinates of this vector?
Nothing until you have a position.
Until it's
Until
in
you have
points.
origin or something.
You have to define something.
Yes.
Okay. So what you do is, if I does this vector have coordinates in this coordinate system?
Yes.
I, J, K.
Okay.
Does it have
Yes.
let's say small I, J, K.
Yes.
This vector has coordinates in this frame and this frame.
Yes.
Okay, you can say this vector is coordinatized in the IJK frame, capital IJK frame. Right? What that means is the components are with respect to capital IJK. When I say coordinatized, it means with reference to. You are referring this vector with reference to it. Now you are looking at this vector being in this reference frame or reference coordinate system. So the word is coordinate. Got it?
Yes.
So this vector by themselves are free vectors. Okay. So they are independent of coordinate systems, but they can be coordinatized. They can be referenced to a, when you look at it from a reference frame, they'll have components in that reference frame. Got it?
Yes.
So here, this vector R has coordinates in the XYZ frame. You see that IJK.
Yes.
Okay? So this vector R it has an X component, has a Y component or K component. Or in other words, I, J, K. Got it?
Yes.
Everything is clear? So now, what is that IJK frame there? Or XYZ? What frame is that? What coordinate frame is that called?
Inertial frame.
Inertial frame. What inertial frame? See, you have to keep you are not going to the lecture, that's the reason you're not going to the notes. ECI frame. Okay. This IJK or XYZ. Okay. Here in this figure is the ECI frame, and the vector R is coordinatized in this ECI frame. Got it?
Yes.
Now you are given last class what you saw was given R in, you see this, you did this, right?
Yes.
Okay. I could have written it like this, or I could have written it okay. This makes sense. Vector R If I say ECI here, it just means vector R as represented in ECI is Rx in I direction, Ry in J direction, Rz in K direction. Clear?
Yes.
Clear? Again, we had V as well, right? Velocity of that. Okay, so that was Vx I plus Vyj plus Vz. Okay, those are just the components. Now you're given R and V, and you're required to find the Ra and right?
Yes.
Ra is right ascension and
Declination.
this is declination. Okay? And you were algorithm 4.1 will teach you how to do that. Got it?
Yes.
This will be one problem in the exam, the next exam.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, all of MATLAB subscriptions are expired.
It's not expired. I think the license server doesn't. The license server code keeps going down. I'll give you. Okay. So I want you to learn how to given. So it'll be either given R and V, find alpha and delta, or given alpha and delta, find R and V. You should be able to switch.
Yes.
Got it? Learn that. Okay. This is very simple substitution. Given R and V, finding alpha and delta is what this gives you.
Extra eraser.
No.
It's alright.
So given this, you're given this, you can compute these. Given these, you can compute this. Okay. I want you to learn how to do that. And what did we say? This is your MATLAB extra assignment, okay? Or extra credit assignment. Now the next part is given again R and V. See, understand this. This R and V can be measured, so to speak. Okay, it can be. You take an instrument. It's like I told you. This can be measured similar to measuring the speed of when you're going on the road. Okay, you just point the speed gun at the object which is moving. You know the position and you know the velocity. These can be measured. Now, how do you convert these to the orbital elements? That is our next section. Okay.
What do you mean by orbital elements?
So we talked about orbital elements, remember? Now please don't keep forgetting meters. We talked about this a couple of classes ago. We have A edge defining the size, E defining the shape, and then you have cap omega, I, small omega. This defines the orientation, and you have theta, which is the. You remember this?
Yes.
Okay. So these are the 6 orbital elements. A is the semi-major axis. You can either use A or H, okay, to define the size of the orbit, how big the orbit is. E defines the shape of an orbit. These 3, right ascension of ascending mode, inclination and argument of perigee. These define the orientation of the orbit with respect to this ECI frame. Okay, and then theta is the true anomaly. Got it?
Yes.
So how do you convert Now next section is given R and B, find A, E, cap omega, I, small omega, and theta. Okay? Alright, so let's see where do we start with this. Again, there is a reference here or an algorithm here. I'll explain to you that algorithm. The algorithm is (4.2). Okay. So the first step is calculate R. Not R. Just R. How is this R calculated? Magnitude, right? If given R and B, you can simply do square root of R dotted with R. You can express magnitude in different ways, or this is also equal to square root of Rx square plus Ry square plus R3 square. It will give you that R.
Yes.
Got it? Second step is calculate B, which is again simply R or sorry B dotted with B. Does this make sense to you guys?
Yes.
This and this. B dotted with V is what? Just R dotted with vector dotted with itself is? Huh? What is A dotted with A? Huh?
A squared.
A squared, yes. Okay. So that is A squared. So you just take the root and you get that. So the third one is now VR. If you look at there is always, I want you to understand this. It's a very nice thing. You have this orbit. Okay? Can you guys distinguish this, or can you visualize this and let me just pull this. I think this is the right one. Let's see. Visualize this figure in the context of this. Understand, visualize this figure in the context of this. Is that big enough? I'm talking about figure 4.7.
So what sort of orbit are we assuming?
Hmm?
Is that a circular orbit? Or no, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Okay. Typically, what we do is we try to see things in the. We look at an elliptical orbit. A general orbit is an elliptical. Okay. So we try to see things in that. Tell me, what view is this?
Top down. Or top view.
Top view from where?
North Pole? No, sorry.
This is top. I thought it was like a semi. I thought it's facing this way and looking at it.
Now tell me the view. You are almost there. Try it again.
It's on the left.
top view from where? From what point? Huh?
Left of the Aries.
There is very specific arrows are there.
You got
Tell me
north,
that what specific arrow?
You got the north, you got Aries.
Huh?
K.
It is not K, it is H. You understand?
No.
Does that make sense? Stand at H, where H is, where the H arrow is, and see it down like this. That is this view. You get it?
Yes.
What is this direction?
North.
You're not getting it, man.
It's not let me check.
Stand at H and see it like this.
I mean, it'll be still kind of tilted a little bit.
It'll be M.
Huh?
Yeah, it was X, right? That was M.
It's M.
M.
Where's the? No, we said that. You should know. P. Alright, no, we're not.
Yeah, I see it.
I'm not representing.
Okay. He's not.
What is E? What is that this point? What is this point?
Oh.
What is that point?
Very.
Perigee or periapsis. Okay, so this is that point. You see that?
I'm not really seeing that there's an H and E is kind of like an angle.
What is the direction of H here? Huh? It's coming out. Yes.
Why did they put a little like 90 degree thing in?
Huh?
Why did they put a little like 90 degree little thing in? Because of the
So this is F. Okay. So H is this. You see that?
H is
With this arrow. Do you see it? Everybody? You see that?
I mean, I can see that H is poking out, but
Just look at this. Okay, just look at this path. This path. Okay? What is that path? That path is that path.
the path along B
Not
or the
V is not that. I'll tell you what V is. That's the reason I've told you.
this.
It's this. You see that?
Yeah.
That is that path. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing. So you're standing perfectly on top of the orbit and seeing it. This is that view. Got it?
Yes. I see it.
When will this be the plane of the equator?
I see it.
You see it?
It's a
When will this also be the plane of the equator? Huh? If it's an equatorial orbit, this will also be the equatorial plane. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is what plane is this right now?
That's the one that's kind of going.
Right. So what plane is that? What plane did we say?
Or what's the Earth's equation? Not equation. Equator.
I told you what plane is this.
Yeah.
That's the orbital plane. This is orbital plane. Okay? Do you understand orbital plane? No?
Yes.
So this is the orbital plane. Okay? What is R here? Where is the satellite right now? As indicated there.
It's slightly above E.
It's actually rotating on us.
It's about where you're here.
Right now at this thing, the satellite is somewhere here.
What figure is this in the book?
It's 4.7. Okay. Do you see the satellite There?
Yes.
Okay. So this is that. What is this?
Or
Ah, yes. That's what I was trying to do. What is this?
J.
Hmm?
Beta.
Okay. What is this point? Periapsis. What is this?
That's
this R B.
Hmm?
RB.
What is this?
R.
RAT. So do you see this? Now tell me what is velocity vector?
It's coming out of the, it's going from the satellite that way, like straight line, right?
Isn't it just
Standing to order.
Huh?
Standing to order.
There.
Where will the velocity vector be in this? Can one of you tell me?
Like this.
Huh?
Like this, right?
Tangent to.
Will it be like this?
No. Yeah, because it's coming
Will it be like this or like this? Huh?
like this.
Will it be like this?
It'd be a tangent line.
No, but what I'm trying to understand
It's
is
coming out of the board,
Yeah.
it's coming out of the board.
but at a diagonal. No?
No, it's not necessarily right in the curve, but it's going in the direction of what the side is going. If that makes sense.
The velocity vector, that's where I'm trying to get you to understand.
Can we draw?
Yes, you can. Keep in mind, this R and V have to be in this plane only. It cannot come out. What happens if it comes out?
It changes the little path.
It does not change the orbital path. The plane itself changes. So if it has to be in this plane, okay. If you're circling, okay, can your velocity be like this, or will it has to be in that plane?
Yes.
It has to be in that plane, right? It has to be in that. What happens if it is slightly above the plane? It will come out of the plane. You see that? So this is the velocity vector. There is a velocity. This velocity vector has this component, which is v perpendicular, and this component, which is v r. This is the velocity vector by itself is not necessarily a tangent to this. Why so? What will a tangent do?
You're right.
It will ride the curve. The tangent will ride the curve. Okay. What is this VR doing? See, there is. Can it just keep riding the curve when you're? If you tie a weight to a string and do this, right? There are two velocities. One is tangential to that. Okay, one is radial. When you do that, there is a gravitational, there is a centrifugal and a centripetal force. You understand the centrifugal force? So the centrifugal force is trying to balance. There is a gravitational pull which this VR will try to balance.
So it's not.
So if that doesn't happen, you like crash.
Yes. So what was your question?
So it's not coming on the board, be clear.
Yes, it is not coming. So these two have to be in the board,
Okay.
on the plane of the board. The reason is, what is this? Now I told you what is the direction of this? Jamal?
That is the overview.
No, H direction.
That's coming out.
That's coming out, right? So H is what? R, by definition, R cross B, right?
Yeah.
Now do this. R, right? B. It has to come like this.
Okay.
Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So this has to be out. If this has to be out, this is in the plane. This also has to be in the plane. You get it? So any two vectors will form a plane. Agreed? The cross product of any two vectors will be perpendicular to that plane.
Yes.
Daniel, any two vectors will form a plane. R and V form the plane. The cross product has to be perpendicular to that plane. So H is perpendicular. If we assume H is perpendicular and R is in a plane, V has to be in that plane. You get it? The other way. Alright? So this VR always is vector V as a radial component and a tangential component. Okay? You get it? This, so try to again go back and do that exercise, just try a weight to a string and do this. There is always, you'll always experience a force where, what happens if the string breaks? Have you seen what happens if the string breaks?
Flies out.
It will actually go in this direction.
Yep.
It will go in this direction. It will not keep the path. Will it keep the path?
No.
If it was really this, right? If this velocity was really tangential, it would have kept the path even after braking. Okay, so if it goes like that, so it will go in this direction. Okay, so it would have kept doing that. This direction is generally called the RAN direction, and it makes sense. What is RAN? I told you this.
Oh, yeah.
The right ascension of ascending node. Okay, so this is that direction. Now understand this V, VR and V perpendicular. There are two components. Okay. VR, you need to calculate this VR, which is simply equal to V or R see if this makes sense, okay? R dotted with V over R, or does this make sense? VR, okay, is the projection of, what is the R direction? So think about this. You have a vector V. This is your R direction. Okay? This is V direction. What do we know about, what is this component of, V? Can I say VR?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is this component of V? V perpendicular or tangential? How do we calculate VR? V dot R, or remember the projection, the shadow. You see that? This is the projection formula. That's the reason I've been asking you to go back and look at the projection formula. That's the reason I gave you projection formula twice. Okay? So this, the projection of V on R is simply this, V dot R. You see that?
Yes.
Try to remember the formula. V, what is V perpendicular? It's again V, projection of V on this, whatever vector that is. Got it? But we don't know that V perpendicular. We don't worry about that. Okay? We just have to worry about this. Alright? we can calculate that. It's not that we cannot calculate, but this makes sense.
Yeah.
Projection of V on R. Shadow. If you want this shadow, the shadow of V on this direction, you just take the projection of. Okay. So this can be written as, in textbook you are going to see this as R dotted with V over R. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Or this can be written as R divided by R dotted with V. The same thing. Dot product is commutative. Okay. Can you calculate H? What is H? R cross V, yes. Okay. Your R is given, V is given, so you can calculate H. Can you calculate all of this here? Given these two values, can you calculate R?
Yes.
Can you calculate V?
Yes.
Can you calculate VR?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you calculate H?
Yes.
Now, what is H?
It's just a magnitude over here.
It's just the magnitude. I'm asking you the question again and again. Just understand the difference between this H and this H. What is the difference? Yeah, that's simple. Okay, you don't have to H dotted with H. It's the same thing. I've repeated this twice already. And you just have to apply it for another vector. Okay.
Oh.
Now you can say, can you say this is the first orbital element? Recall what was the orbital elements. Whatever I wrote here, what was the first orbital element? A slash H, right? If you know A or H, that is the first element. Okay? And I'll tell you why you can switch. Okay? I'll come to that. But A slash H is calculated. First element is calculated. Okay? Now, 6-1. Was it done? How do I calculate I? Now tell me what is I? If anyone can look at that figure and tell me what is I?
I is probably
What is I?
It's just that angle.
it's on a different plane.
What do you understand by I? We talked about this. What is I itself? How do you name it?
What job are you talking
Huh?
With little R.
There's only one I, small I. What is I?
The ECI reference, right? No.
I, orbital element I. What is that I?
It's about the one between H and K.
Huh?
It was in.
It's the inclination. See, you're not even going through your notes. I just gave you the orbital elements.
Oh.
I is the inclination. What do you mean by inclination?
See?
The incline.
Can you point to what I
Look by H.
This angle.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's very simple, guys. You see this? This surface? Where is? You're not seeing. Don't use the cell phone.
Oh, you do. Yeah.
You see the incline? This is inclined to this, the surface. You see that? How do you figure that angle out? Can you take the perpendicular to this and perpendicular to the surface and find the angle between those two? It will be the same. Got it? Everybody understand?
Yes.
If I take a perpendicular to this and a perpendicular to the surface and take the angle between those two, will that give me the inclination between this and this plane?
Yes.
Okay. So how do I see if you understand this? What is age dotted with K? Can I write this as age cosine or age K?
Would that be in or
H K cosine I. Can I write it like this?
Magnitude times.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes. That's the one. Yeah.
That is the formula, exactly.
So that is saying that magnitude of H times the magnitude.
This is the dot product formula. This you should know. You should know
Yeah.
by now. Okay. So this is H. What is the magnitude of this?
What is the magnitude of that?
1.
Yes. See, that is how simple it is. You guys are, why is the magnitude of this 1? It's a unit vector.
You put one head on it.
Huh?
Put a head on it.
Okay. What is this? Can I write this as HZ?
Yeah.
Yes. It is.
It is HZ, right?
Yes.
Only the Z component, only the K component.
Yes.
Okay. And if I take this, cosine of I is equal to HZ divided by H. Okay. And I is, which implies I is cosine inverse HZ over H. Okay.
Isn't there a problem there too?
Hmm?
Isn't there a problem? Don't we get two answers out of that? We don't know which one we're on.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll talk about it. Okay, but can you calculate? Do you know HZ?
Yes. If we have H, yeah.
Yeah, if we have H, you know X, Y, and Z, all three components. Alright, what is H? Do you know this?
Yeah.
We just calculated it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one is, tell me what is this? Okay. Here is where I want you to apply your understanding, or if you have demonstrated, what is this vector? Tell me this vector. Do your hand gestures and tell me what that vector is. You have to learn your hand gestures. You're not practicing your hand gestures enough. Just doing this will not help. You have to apply it there.
I mean, like, we see that.
Huh?
I think I get it.
Yeah.
So you're trying to get in, so you need to start thinking. So there's H2K is right here.
Not getting your hand gestures. Jessica.
I was thinking
But which one?
Huh?
I thought you put your pinky on H.
so you kill like
Hmm?
you kill K.
Because if you put your pinky on H, you're gonna get rotated.
So you see why this
in with thumb.
line
It's just
why this line is H cross K cross H.
Oh,
yeah.
You see that?
okay. So,
See, do this. A K
K.
cross H.
So
It's not
this is called cross.
It appears that H and N are on the same plane.
So it'll be like this.
H and
N are on the same plane or they're not.
where is N? What plane is N? Tell me what plane is N?
Equatorial plane. So it appears to be on the equatorial plane.
What is N? What is N direction?
Is cutting that thing in half. That's vertically.
now what's the longest saying line is This guy here.
I told you what n is. Again, go back and.
It should be,
It's on the same line as your
it should be
orbital
on
plane.
that point.
It's on the orbital plane.
Is it on the orbital plane or is it on the equatorial plane?
No,
You're sure?
No.
It's on the equatorial plane.
On
It's
the
like-
on the
it's
first
like-
day of spring, it's on both.
Oh, it is.
Yes, you're right. It's not the first day of spring, but the second part is right. It is on both planes. It is the intersection of two planes. I told you that, right?
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
The intersection of two planes. So the two perpendiculars, K defines the equatorial plane, H defines the orbital plane. When you take the cross product of that has to be the intersection of both planes. It cannot be anything else. You see that?
Yes.
So when you are saying it is on equatorial plane, you are right. When you say it is on orbital plane, you are right. But you are partially right.
I see it.
When you combine, it is on both planes. Got it?
Yeah.
What's messing up the 3D effect that we need to see is the equatorial plane. How it's-
Right, so the equatorial plane is this, right? And the orbital plane is this. Wherever those two intersect, that is that end line. And that has to be this.
It needs to be perfect.
What happens if you take, so what node is this? Huh? Ascending node. Yes. If I do the other way, descending. If I do H cross K, it will go in other direction.
Yes.
You got it? So it's descending. Since the orbit is like this, you see why is it ascending? This is the equatorial plane, okay? It's ascending from that point forward, and then this going down. Okay? So now, what is this angle? How do you find this angle? Apply the same principle. Okay? Can I say n dotted with I is what?
8, no. N, magnitude of N, magnitude of I, cosine. What's that Greek symbol? No, it's on my.
Look at there, guys. It's there. Huh?
What's that Greek symbol?
This is the cap omega. Omega.
Omega.
You see that, right? If you take the cosine product between, if you take the cross dot product between this vector and this vector, it has to involve this angle. It cannot involve any some I angle.
Yes.
If you take the dot product between any two vectors, it has to involve the angle between those two vectors. Yes, sir? So what is this? This is simply n.
Yep.
What is this?
1
1. And you have?
cosine
Now what is this? Yes, yes. nx.
Can you read it?
Hmm?
Again, it looks like a Z shape. Thank you.
Well,
No.
Wait,
That's the line.
don't put a lot to the X's, just put a lot to the Z's. Yeah, just make it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, put a lot to the Z's.
so cosine omega is what? n x divided by n, or omega is nx.
Cosine inverse.
Does this make sense?
Yes.
So you see, you should be able to apply this. See, you are not able to. I am not asking you to. One of the things you have to know is to how to apply what you learn. Even if you are unable to understand the math itself, you have to know how to apply. If you're not able to derive, if you cannot apply, then you are really, really short-handed. And the reason you are not able to apply is none of you are going through the notes. Even it will take 5 to 10 minutes to go through the notes, but you're not doing that. You're forgetting, you're completely blank when you come here. You're not that smart that you remember everything when you come here. If you're not that smart, just go through the notes before you come here. Right? Prepare yourself, it will help you. See, once you prepare this, once this gets into your brains, okay, then you don't have to go through the notes. But until then, it is not just for you, it is for everyone. We are not that smart that once you listen, everything will register in your brains. If you know that you are not that smart, we have to go and read it before we come here. And that's what is very clear. None of you are going through your notes. Just flip through your notes before you come here. Or at least when you're done, flip through your notes and just understand what you did. That is where the limitation is. It's not that you're not following. If I try to scratch your head, you're able to follow this, but you're not making an effort on your part to even go through the notes. How do you expect to learn?
Repetition.
Repetition, yes. So repeat. Once this orbital elements, I won't take a whole lot of your time, but orbital elements, I have discussed this 4 or 5 times now. If I repeat and if it's not registering, you repeat it once and see how much it registers. It does make a lot of change. It does make a lot of difference. So you have to go through the notes. If you're taking the notes, if you're not taking notes, at least borrow the notes and go through the notes. These days it's so easy to photocopy notes. You just have to take a picture from one of your friends. Don't you think one of your friends will allow you to take a picture of their notes? They're not very nice. And all this is there in the textbook as well. So I've given you the figure reference, the section reference. So go get a copy of the textbook and read through the textbook. You'll understand. Before you get out of here, get a visualization, get your understanding. Okay? It will be really, really powerful when you get out. You understand how difficult not difficult, but how challenging this courses or this subject matter is compared to some of the other materials you learn. If you understand this, you really have an edge. Nobody can, just say, I also understand this as well. You have an edge now. You're fresh. Once you're 3-4 years into working or something like that, you become dumber. You become dumb after you repeatedly do something. Today, what is happening is every day you're reading something new. You're learning something new. So your brain is constantly being sharpened. Once you go to work, you're repeatedly doing the same thing. Your brain doesn't get sharpened. Okay? You don't do a lot of research when you go to work. You will be given task to do this. That time your brain becomes blunt. It won't absorb this material that time. You understand? You have to understand, you have to be able to utilize your current situation. Let me just take a 10